Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and in today's video I want to discuss a very particular pattern on Bitcoin that I'm sure you guys have seen, and why we may see Bitcoin rally all the way to $20,000 before this year comes to a close, guys. Now there's going to be some caveats in this video, but I think it's definitely a scenario that could play out. We're going to be doing some technical analysis on this today. I think you guys are going to get a lot of good value out of the video, so if you do, consider smashing that like down below, hitting that subscribe button if you're new here, and the notification bell if you're not. But guys, before we dive on into today's video, I want to remind you that the August 2019 sale is still running. There's a link in the description down below that you can follow to check out what we're offering here. And if you include the August 2019 coupon code at checkout, you'll get access to all of the CT2A content that is currently here and all of the future content for the very low price of only $159, guys. Check us out at the link in the description down below. All right, guys, so without much further ado, let's go ahead and dive right on into it, guys. The first thing that we need to discuss is a caveat for what I'm about to say. I want to front load this at the beginning of the video so that you guys understand that just because I'm saying that Bitcoin could follow through with this bullish pattern that we're going to talk about, that doesn't necessarily mean that's going to happen. I do want to talk about it, but it's certainly not the only scenario that could play out. Let me explain. Guys, as you can see, Bitcoin rallied all the way up to this downtrend around $12,000 just a little while ago. Earlier on in the month, Bitcoin was trading above 12K for a few hours, but from there, we've moved pretty bearish in the month of August. As you can see, we've had a big blood fall, and from there, we had a rally here, and as we kind of expected, this fell over, and we came down and tested this uptrend of support. From there, guys, Bitcoin has tried to stage a recovery here over the last couple of days. We're currently trading around $10,200 just about, but I want you guys to keep in mind that just because we've had a little bounce here does not mean that we're going all the way up to this uptrend of resistance. This bounce so far, especially with what we've learned in the last 24 hours since I recorded yesterday's video, I was hoping for some more bullish price action. It doesn't necessarily look like we're going to get it. Bitcoin very well may still break to the downside here. I want you to understand that everything we talk about in these videos are only scenarios that come along with a certain percentage chance of happening. You can never predict what the market's going to do with 100% certainty. So with that said, keep in mind that Bitcoin could break bearish here, and if it does, that invalidates or at least partially invalidates what we're talking about here, but it doesn't necessarily write it off completely. All right, guys, so with that caveat out of the way and my shield against the haters up, we can go ahead and dive on into this bullish scenario. You guys aren't going to flame me if this doesn't happen? Okay, good. Let's go ahead and dive into it. Guys, there's a pattern that's been very obviously developing here over the last several months. I remember even about a month and a half ago talking about how this pattern could very well develop. I have no idea what video it was in, but I know I remember seeing this pattern. The market was looking something about like this, and I was talking about how this looked like it could start forming into some kind of bull flag here with Bitcoin trading sideways here, and that's exactly what happened because as you can see, if we play the chart forward, Bitcoin ended up going into this bull flag and moving up to where it is today. And this is a very important pattern, guys, because if you know anything about pennants, you know anything about flags, you will know that if a pennant or a flag show up in a trend, typically it's going to be a continuation pattern. If you guys are in CT2A, there's a video in here called Wedges and Pennants, and in that video, it's a short one because it's not very complicated. We go over what exactly a wedge is and what exactly a pennant is. And guys, this is just a big pennant. That's all we've been in ever since the 24th of June when Bitcoin came up here to around $14,000. That's where we are, and that's what we're currently forming. And guys, by the way, if you know anything about pennants, you will also know that volume tends to decline during pennants, and then when a breakout does come, you typically see that volume return in a massive way, like with candlesticks like this, and you see a big breakout. So guys, just because this is on the daily chart and it's a long-term pennant does not mean it's not a pennant. This is most certainly a pennant. Now, people have drawn this in different ways. People have drawn this as a descending triangle pattern. For right now, it is almost certainly a pennant because we do have an uptrend right here. The point is, this follows a very large bullish rally, and if you guys can draw with me for a second, the flagpole for this pennant, which goes from where we started this rally to our current top, and then we extrapolate that, well, guys, guess where that leaves us if Bitcoin follows its price target? We're looking at between $20,000 and $22,000 if Bitcoin can go ahead and do exactly what you would expect it to with this pennant, which is break to the upside about as far as Bitcoin moved when it was breaking into the pennant in the first place. So if we break bullish out of this, it's very likely on a technical standpoint, and I'll show you more reasons why as we go, that Bitcoin should rally all the way up to $20,000. Check that out, guys. And guys, it's not just that. It's actually easier for Bitcoin to go from where it is now to $20,000 than it was for Bitcoin to go down here to where it went to a couple months ago. Guys, this was an over 300% rally in the span of 140 days and change. This vertical line over here, this one right here represents 2020, the first day of 2020. And guys, for Bitcoin to get to $20,000 by the end of 2020, guess what? We only have to rally 100% in 130 days. So in about the same length of time, we have to rally a third as much and increase the market capitalization of Bitcoin by a third as much. That's not terribly hard, to be totally honest. Bitcoin has gone to $20,000 before. Bitcoin has been worth multi-hundreds of billions of dollars in market capitalization before, and that was before the technicals and the fundamentals looked as good as they do now. So guys, I haven't talked about this a whole lot on the channel because I didn't want to spread unwarranted FOMO, but now that we may be seeing a bottom, if we do manage to break bullish out of this, which is why I've been watching this like a hawk for the last month and a half, I'm sure you guys have noticed me watching this very closely. If we can break bullish here, we're probably headed straight to 14,000. That's going to be our next level of resistance, and if we break that, guys, the path is clear all the way to 20. And that's a very important thing for Bitcoin to do, because let me tell you something, because Guys, this is the first major correction of the bull market. If Bitcoin corrects here and it doesn't play out its correction properly and we see Bitcoin crash too far, this could be the end of the bull market. I'm not by any stretch of the imagination saying that is going to happen. I'm saying that just because we're in a bull market, it doesn't necessarily mean for 100% fact that it is going to last another 2 years. It could last another 2 months and it could end and then restart 6 months from now. You have to keep those options on the table because you never know what these markets are going to do, which is why it's so important that Bitcoin does break bullish out here or only break bearish temporarily and then move to the upside again. And the reason for that, guys, is going to go back to an old classic here on the channel, which is the 20 exponential moving average. Guys, during bear markets, Bitcoin doesn't go below this. Now, Bitcoin very easily can break bearish out of this pennant and come down here and test the 20 EMA. That wouldn't necessarily be unhealthy for Bitcoin. I could see it doing that. But if Bitcoin breaks below this, that's going to be unhealthy. So I want to see either Bitcoin break bullish out of this pennant or break bearish, which is also definitely a possibility, test the 20 EMA and then break bullish from there. I want to see either this scenario or just straight up this scenario. I want to see one of those two. And to be honest with you guys, I think both of those scenarios, whichever one plays out, I think if you combine their likelihoods, it's probably like a 90+% chance that one of those play out, which is a good thing because both of those breakouts, both of those movements for Bitcoin indicate nearly $20,000 Bitcoin by the end of the year based on what we've seen so far this year and based on what I think is possible based on the fundamentals and the technicals. Now, you guys already know about the fundamentals, but let's go ahead and look at some more technicals. If you guys look at the weekly chart, the MACD doesn't look great because we're about to see this crossover here, but if you zoom out to the monthly chart, we're going to see that the MACD actually looks fantastic. And keep in mind, guys, the RSI is a very strong indicator of overbought and oversold signals on the longer term charts. Bitcoin's RSI on the monthly chart is looking pretty healthy. It's sitting around 60. And remember, guys, Bitcoin's RSI ran up here and capped out around 70 during this previous bear market, but Bitcoin didn't actually start the bear market until Bitcoin ran to 96 on the monthly RSI. That's absurd. Bitcoin hasn't done anything like that. So that's not calling for a crash, and that's not calling for a bear market. So with all that said, guys, let's try to come back down to earth and get a perspective on what's going on here. Bitcoin does look like it's trying to set a bottom in this uptrend of support that we've seen Bitcoin testing for the last couple of months. If Bitcoin can put that bottom in, and if it holds this bottom and starts moving to the upside, and it comes up here and tests this downtrend and breaks bullish, that would be very good for Bitcoin. If it doesn't, guys, here's what could also happen. Like I said, Bitcoin could very easily fall over here. I'm not feeling as great about this as I did yesterday. It could still very easily happen. Bitcoin could fall down here, break this level of support, test the 20 EMA, which is way down here somewhere, come down here, test that, and then break to the upside and bounce from there. One of those scenarios is most likely going to happen, in my opinion, and both of them lead to large prices for Bitcoin by the end of this year. Because like I say, guys, Bitcoin movements are not solely based on technical analysis. They're probably 80% based on technical analysis, at least on the shorter term time frames. But as you start getting out to the longer term time frames, you'll start to notice that a lot of the longer term swings start having a little bit less to do with technical analysis and a little bit more to do with fundamentals. The short term charts, like the daily chart, even out to the weekly chart, it's perfect. That's a perfect area for technical analysis. Really short term charts like the minute chart, oftentimes the TA is going to get ignored. And on the longer term charts, what you'll find is that oftentimes these major movements that actually show up on monthly candlesticks, these are the result of fundamentals in Bitcoin. Like these three major green candlesticks that we saw here, these were technical based, guys. I guess. I mean, we saw this bottom here on the monthly MACD, but that wasn't big enough to drive Bitcoin 300%. The reason we saw these green candlesticks was because we saw that the bull market had kicked off, which was a technical, event. But the reason that all the money flowed back in was not because we had seen some technical thing happen. It's because everybody joining the market increased the amount of volume and the volatility and the overall amount of liquidity in the market, and that drove prices to the upside, which was a technical trigger, but it was a fundamental force that moved Bitcoin. And guys, even if the technicals may not look the best right now, and we may see a crash for like $1,000 or something meager like that, even if we do see that because of technicals, the fundamentals have never looked stronger. And guys, I will be completely upfront with you. The fundamentals now compared to what we saw the fundamentals look like when Bitcoin ran to $20,000 are vastly, vastly superior, guys. I remember this. I watched Bitcoin hit $20,000 live. I was watching the chart on the minute chart. I watched it happen. The Bitcoin market was a completely different space back then. This market is developing, and it's developing fast. It's maturing in a very, very quick manner, and it's because of that maturation that this bull market has kicked off as early as it has, and that this bull market has done as well as it has. And it is also that maturity that is going to drive Bitcoin to and above $20,000 within the next year. Probably, maybe not probably, but definitely possibly before the beginning of next year. So guys, the future for Bitcoin looks very, very bright. You know that if you watch this channel, you know that if you watch crypto YouTube and keep up with the news and look at the fundamentals and what's actually going on in this space behind the scenes and the things that we're supposed to know about, you know that the market is doing very well. I think we all do, and I'm very much looking forward to what's going to happen this next year. The last year, guys, has been I mean, honestly, I will be honest with you guys, it's been a great week for me, and this has definitely been the best year of my life. The last year here on YouTube and a lot of things that have happened in my personal life, this has by far and away been the single greatest year of my entire life, and I hope the same thing is true for you guys. I hope you guys have had a great year, and keep in mind, even when the market's going down, that does not mean you have to be sad. That doesn't mean that it has to be a bad day or a bad week or a bad month or year. Guys, this last year, these last 365 days have been by far and away the best that I've ever had. And the majority of that happened in a bear market and the accumulation phase at the beginning of 2019. So keep in mind, no matter what happens in the market, you are going to be okay. Your future is bright. And if you keep fighting and you have faith that no matter what you do, you will come out okay, so long as you keep fighting, you're going to be all right. And guys, I'm not going to get into why I say that, but something happened yesterday, and I felt the need to say that. In case there's one person out there that needed to hear that, I felt justified in dedicating this portion of the video to it. I don't have any idea what you're going through, but I've been through some hell also. It'll be okay. Just have faith. Anyway, guys, because of what I just said, I'm not going to go into the whole sales pitch, but I do want to remind you about the course. If you want to learn technical analysis, it's a great resource. If you don't believe me, join the Discord server down below. Talk to people in there. See what they have to say. It's a good product. I mean, I can try and sell it. I can do the whole sales pitch and everything. It's a good product. You will get a whole lot of value out of it. And if you don't like it, I'll give you your money back. Check that out. The link in the description down below. Have a great rest of this year, guys, and I'm looking forward very much to 2020. This has been the best year of my life so far, and I'm looking forward to the next, because I know we are going to do amazing things here in the cryptocurrency market and in our lives in general. Guys, I want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.